I'm Swati, and I'll be talking here today with Minsu about the AI surveillance pipeline. I'd like to ground ourselves in the current moment. What are we seeing in terms of AI surveillance and how it's impacting our communities?
Thanks, Swati. This AI surveillance pipeline is putting us all at risk. We've all seen the images of ICE and its brutal tactics. But AI surveillance has another side, which is using data to target us when we're at our most vulnerable. The New York Times has reported on cases of what it calls ICE in the surveillance age. It's ICE tracking down and detaining a mother who posted a $20 homemade piñata for sale on a private Facebook group. It's ICE picking up a father on his regular route to work, leaving his breakfast uneaten and wrapped in a paper towel on which his youngest son had written dad. What's more, in one way or another, this AI surveillance pipeline is a danger to us all. For example, are you one of the nearly 70% of Americans who support unions and therefore might be interested in joining one? A study of a union election drive showed how Amazon, our nation's second largest employer, used AI surveillance to prevent the workers from organizing. Maybe, are you one of the 45 million Americans who rent their home? A 2023 study by the Council of Economic Advisors found that rent pricing algorithms were costing renters an extra $3.8 billion per year. Maybe are you one of the millions of Americans who've attended a protest or shared political content online? Police and federal agencies have used the AI surveillance pipeline to spy on protesters of George Floyd's murder. And finally, are you a domestic violence survivor? Do you know someone who might consider traveling out of state to get an abortion? Do you do a job that might cause anyone, anywhere, to want to harm you? Countless people have been put at risk because someone was able to track them down by buying their personal data. That's what's alleged to have happened in this summer's deadly shooting of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband.
The harms you're describing are so serious and they encompass nearly every aspect of our lives. Can you give me a brief overview of how we got here?
Sure. Governments and corporations have always surveilled us, but until recently, there were some practical limits on this, if only because of the resources it took to track people. Now, those limits are falling away. In the early 2000s, we saw our ability to collect data skyrocket with the rise of the internet and the smartphone. Now, with AI's ability to sift large amounts of data incredibly quickly, our capacity to analyze that data is also going through the roof. As a result, in a kind of boomerang, surveillance tech that was originally developed for military and intelligence purposes abroad, and then first used by local police departments after 9/11, causing tremendous harm to Black and Brown communities, has now fully come home to roost.
It feels like in these times of rising authoritarianism, the risks are particularly great.
Oh, absolutely. Authoritarian power is supercharged by surveillance. I always think of that photo of the tech oligarchs at the inauguration. It's like a picture says 1,000 words. But if you want some words, we can paraphrase privacy scholar Daniel Solow that government surveillance and surveillance capitalism are two sides of the same coin. In other words, as long as we financially incentivize corporations to collect limitless amounts of our personal data for profit, we'll remain vulnerable to our government accessing that data to harm us. And that's what's happening. As government and big tech come together, we're seeing the rise of a for-profit surveillance state.